Rhonda Scher of Unleashing LinkedIn, and today I'm so excited because I get to interview one of my clients and somebody who's exceptional in the world of HR. EVANA NARDI is actually a 25-year plus experienced person in the world of human resources, and she knows that job searching can be overwhelming. Her job is to alleviate some of that stress, and I know EVANA has a great idea of what recruiters are looking for in candidates, and what she does is she offers resume services and other customized career services to help her clients with every aspect of their job search. And this includes things such as a comprehensive resume, LinkedIn assistance that includes an in-depth discussion of career objectives and achievements, something I don't do when it comes to LinkedIn. I don't work with job hunters. I work with the people that are looking for that are looking for clients. But EVANA actually helps with a review of the jobs that the client is interested in pursuing to ensure that the keywords are scanned by the applicant tracking system, included on their resume, in their LinkedIn profile, and then she takes all of that experience and helps them to create a custom resume and a LinkedIn profile update. EVANA, I'm so excited to have you on the show today. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Rhonda, and thank you for the introduction, and it is a pleasure to be in here, and thank you for the invite.
Absolutely. So I know that there are a lot of people out there right now that are looking for jobs, and one of the biggest questions that comes up is, why do I need a resume? And, how many pages should my resume be? There's always that 1 or 2 page question, and now with everything being online, they could say, just see my LinkedIn profile. So can you talk a little bit about, why people still need a resume and how many pages it should be?
Well, a resume is still very important, and I do get that question a lot. The way I see it and what I tell my clients is that a resume is an introduction to your professional life to a prospective employer. It's a marketing tool, basically, that will assist you in showcasing your great experience, your knowledge, your skills, abilities, and helps you stand out among other applicants. So a resume is extremely important. And because I am a history buff, I compare the resume to the 19th century calling cards. Okay, when someone wasn't home, the person would go to these individuals' homes, a way to express their appreciation for a recent dinner party, or to offer condolence, or to just simply say hello. So the resume is your calling cards to the hiring manager. So it is very important to have one. Now, as far as the 1 page or the 2 page resume, it depends. If you have, let's say, 5 to 7 years of experience and they've all been in one company or maybe a couple of companies, you can probably have your resume in 1 page. If you have 10 years or more experience, most likely you can't get away with a 1 page resume because you really want to put out there everything that you have done and the value that you bring to an organization. But one of the things that I do tell my client is never to have more than a 2 page resume because we simply do not read past that 2nd page.
That makes perfect sense. So what if somebody has over 20 years of experience? How much do they need to show on that resume?
I would say that you need to show anywhere between 10 and 15 years of relevant experience. That's the most important thing. I've had many clients who've had 20, 25, and some even have 30 years of experience. So what I do is I will write a detailed resume up to 15 years, and then I would say prior work experience.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, you will use the company's name and the title and the years that you worked there. That's it, nothing else. There's no need, for example, to put down something you did 30 years ago when the job is not asking for that.
Let's talk about references, for example, because a lot of times people are checking references, and I know that's kind of a funny situation in California, but in other states maybe not so much. Can you talk a little bit about, what happens when companies check references and how that applies to what you do?
Well, what I tell my clients when we do resumes, when they say, do I need to put this experience on my resume? Do I need to put down my education even if I haven't completed a degree? The one thing I will tell clients, and I used to tell this to anyone that will listen, even when I did not write resumes for a living, was never lie on a resume. Never lie on your LinkedIn profile, because people will find out. So there's only certain type of questions that someone checking reference is able to ask you. Okay? And let's face it, if you're asking me for references, I'm not going to give you the name of someone that did not get along with me. So I'm going to give you the name of someone where I know that they're going to give me a good reference. So be honest, and as long as the company doesn't find out that you do not have, if you say I have a master's degree and you don't have a master's degree, that's going to work against you. If you say that you were a vice president managing a team and you did not manage a team, that's going to work against you. It's the best way to answer this question is be honest, don't lie.
Do you recommend that people actually give a list of references, or do they wait until they ask for them?
Wait until they ask for them. I don't recommend giving a list of references. Actually, many companies today, Rhonda, do not check references. They will call a company to find out that EVANA NARDI worked at this company from this date to this date, and perhaps they will ask for the title. That's it. I worked for many companies where we actually did not give a personal reference.
Got it. So let's just talk about, the questions that I know people are really thinking about. When you're doing a resume, is there a certain format? Is there a certain font size, certain pitch size? What should it really look like? Does the paper matter anymore? Because really they're getting sent electronically. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I can, and that's the question of the month, actually. Paper doesn't really matter anymore, and so because everything is online, it's electronically, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you want to have a nice looking type of paper texture for when you meet someone face-to-face and you hand them a copy of your resume. It doesn't have to be on blue paper or brown paper. It can definitely be just plain white 8.5 by 11 paper, so that's not a big deal. As far as the type of resume, the format, let's face it, an attractive, contemporary-looking resume template with charts and fancy fonts, of course, that's very attractive to the human eye. However, the applicant tracking system doesn't really care what it looks like, okay? And the key here is to get past the applicant tracking system. I use and I recommend a simple, clean design, no charts, no images, no fancy fonts. What I usually use is a pitch size anywhere between 10.5 and 11. Don't have too many bullet points for one job. Keep it to 6 whenever possible. Sometimes I have a difficult time keeping it to 6, so I stay within 6 to 8, no more than 8. Have a nice summary section, show your core competency, technical skills, followed by your professional experience and education. Don't use headers or footers because the applicant tracking system doesn't read them. And make your point on that first page of your resume. That's the best format to use.
So you've talked about an applicant tracking system. What is that, and why do recruiters use it?
Okay, so the applicant tracking system, otherwise known as ATS, that's the acronym. It's used by 95% of Fortune 500 companies, and they use the applicant tracking system to eliminate certain candidates that do not have the qualifications for the job. So the purpose of the ATS, what it does is it scans your resume, and it will search for specific keywords, keywords that relate to the open position. So if you, Rhonda, do not have the right keywords in your resume, chances are you're not going to get past the system, and ultimately you're not going to get to the recruiter or the hiring manager, even if you have the qualifications that are required by the position. But if the system doesn't see those keywords, you don't have much of a chance. So what I stress to my clients is that it is important that they describe their skills, education, and experience in a way that the company's ATS wants to see them, or actually I should say, in a way that it is programmed to see them, because it's the recruiter that programs that ATS with the keywords, by the way. So an ATS really grades you, and the ATS is set up to use matching grades. and they base those grades on how well they believe your resume matches their open position. The hiring manager is going to filter those resumes by the best match and review only those that are graded the highest. So if I put a job out there and I program the ATS system to give me resumes of anyone that's rated 85% plus, those are the resumes I'm going to see. So if your resume is 89, I'll review yours. If mine is 83, I probably will not get to see my resume that's rated at 83.
So is that one of the reasons that it's really important that people have a professional to do their resume so that it's specifically geared towards the applicant tracking system? In other words, should every resume be different for every job somebody's applying for?
Well, it is important to, yes and no, okay? So it's important to customize your resume. So one of the things that I offer my clients is when they come to me for resume writing services is send me a couple of job descriptions that you're interested in applying to. By using those job descriptions, I will then pull out the experience that they have that matches those jobs. And I make sure that that experience is in their resume. And then when I tell them, once I finish the resume, what I say to them is, you do not need to redo your entire resume for every job. However, you need to read the advertisement line by line. I know it's time-consuming, but it's worth it. Then compare it to your resume and make sure that the most relevant experience is at the top of your resume. So, for example, if you have 6 bullet points, and when you read the resume, your last 3 bullet points are really applicable to that job, then what you do is you're going to move those bullet points to the top. Okay, so number 4, 5, and 6 bullet points now become 1, 2, and 3, so that the reader will see that immediately. Does that?
That makes perfect sense. So where would you say the best places are for people who are looking for jobs? Should they be looking on LinkedIn? Should they be looking on the job boards? What's the best way for job hunters to actually go out and find the right job for them?
Well, with COVID, unfortunately, it has changed the way we do just about everything, including networking and looking for jobs. So I still recommend I highly recommend that you network. So, for example, LinkedIn is great for job search, by the way. So you go on LinkedIn, go search your network. First of all, what I would also recommend is that you make a list of the companies that you're most interested in working for, like your dream companies, for example. Make a list of those companies. Go on LinkedIn and search to see who you are connected to that works in those companies. So go on LinkedIn and do a job search on LinkedIn. Use, for example, social media. You can use your social media, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Twitter. Let people know that you're looking for work, especially if you've been laid off. So this gives you the opportunity to advertise that you're looking for a job. So I've used LinkedIn myself when I was looking for work, and it works great. Use university alumni sites. Start a meetup group, for example, professional in your field. It's a fun way to know others in your line of work, and especially now that you can't meet really face-to-face because of COVID, or there may already be a meetup group in, along the lines of your function, for example. And it's recruiters. Mm-hmm.
What about cover letters? How important are those?
Well, cover letters are important, okay? Now, I hate to admit this, but I didn't always read them, for example. But when we do read cover letters, again, I highly recommend that you also customize your cover letter to the requirements of the position, okay? So, and especially, let's say you weren't able to make a point in your resume because there wasn't enough space. That's when you use the cover letter to make that point. And so, in other words, you use it to make additional points that did not fit on the resume. It's important to tailor your cover letter to the specific job you're applying to. And whatever you do, please don't use the same cover letter. Because in my experience, when I was doing recruiting, I once had a cover letter that said, "Dear Mary." Okay, now